The story was originally based on SiN, which was a very hot game for PC, and huge following on that, and it looked like the right property for us to acquire.
For the longest time, ADV has always wanted to pursue its own venues and start creating and just developing its own projects.
It starts off with a quiet storm, and it moves pretty quick after that. It is a non-stop rush of adrenaline from minute one to the final frame. It moves real quick.
The movie is a takeoff of Ritual's original story that they have in the game. We begin the film with a death of a character. We added a lot of sub-characters simply because what we did was we almost took it to an alternate universe. We began with acquiring as much information about the game from Ritual that they had background stories, character designs, anything that they had, anything that they never used, and we just wanted to get a good feel for what SiN was all about, not just the game, but the story behind it.
Well, the origin of the game came about from, there's like 5 of us who sit around and start talking about, you know, what type of game we want to make.
We knew we wanted something that you were basically some sort of military or police kind of person, and the idea of going after chasing a person down.
And one of the things that came out right away was that we wanted a very strong character. We wanted to create like a character that was unlike anything that had ever been done before. Some of the elements that went into that was like making our character was a black guy, and he was like a cop who's kind of a renegade cop, and he had a bad attitude, but he wasn't all bad. And then we said, well, what makes a good villain? So we started bouncing around ideas, like we wanted the villain to be just as appealing and just as strong as you know, the good guy. And it was like, you know, the idea of having a female didn't really come up at first, and then it you know, we were like, we had this great guy Blade, and then all of a sudden, how do we add sex appeal? And all of a sudden it hit us like, oh, let's make the villain, you know, this hot mama, you know. And so we made, you know, Alexis Sinclair was, you know, the nemesis, and it's like wow, that's killer, you know, it's a great idea. And then we had, you know, we wanted to create a cool city and cool, you know, weapons and all the typical things that fall into this genre. But I think the game really has something unique with Alexis and Blade.
You know, most games previously, you never knew what the bad guy was or why he was doing anything. And so we wanted to have more motivation for the characters of what they were doing.
They told me it was a futuristic urban cop sort of game, and I said, wow, it sounds really exciting. And kind of went with their descriptions and started to make some preliminary sounds, and we kind of shaped it with them as the concept grew. And then things really started to come together when we started casting and finding our, you know, what characters we liked. And from there, the story just grew itself, I think.
The thing that really was great for me about SiN, about creating it and playing it, is it was the first time that I really had the ability to take what we'd planned on doing and implementing it without any creative restriction. It was our first product that was a true vision of a true representation of what we had imagined it to be. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we could take any idea we had and bring it to life in the game was just a great experience for us. I would say that the most rewarding part of the game for me was being able to harness the technology we had at our disposal and do things with that game that hadn't been done before. Since SiN came out, there have been a lot of games that have incorporated similar elements, like being able to have hit-based or scan-based body parts where, depending on where you get hit on your body, the character reacts in a certain way. Things like that we pioneered in SiN has since then been used.
Actually, I tend to not look at anime so much anymore because it frustrates me that I can't do a lot of the cool stuff that's done. You know, the big bullet holes in the wall and all the animations that the creatures can do. But anime has been very influential, I think, for most of us in the industry.
Definitely anime to some degree, because there's a lot of really good effects that we can take from just things exploding outwards and stuff. It's like, hey, we can do that, you know, nice effects like that. You know, we take a lot of stuff from blood and gore type things from anime movies because they seem to go over the top, and the games we kind of want to go that same direction and still get into Walmarts and whatnot, but go in the direction with the guns because they always seem to be, anime is like one of the more thought through creative like visions for like incredible weaponry and explosion, things you just don't normally see. And we pull a lot of that kind of stuff from movies and anime. Like for SiN, definitely SiN had a kind of a comic book anime feel as a game for us, and there was definitely influences.
I think anime in particular influenced a lot of SiN actually, because we were at first we were working in a house when we first started going through the design phases, and a lot of the guys on the team were young, so they never had even been out of mom and daddy's guidance, and when we would sit around on our breaks and after work and we'd partying or whatever and just living life, we would put in anime tapes, Eon Flux, Yorosuke Doji, tapes that like we enjoyed, and a lot of those guys had never seen that stuff. And if you ever watch a lot of anime, it's like if anything, it's either going to gross you out or it's going to inspire you to like a new way of thinking that maybe you never quite had to imagine yourself thinking. And that, I think that like anything entertainment-wise, movies, films, books, comics, you start to draw from and you start to like. You see something that like, sparks an idea, and maybe it came from anime or it came from a comic or whatever, but it's your original idea. It was just inspired by other artists.
You see something like anime, which is it's produced in a similar way, and a lot of times, from what I understand, like a lot of games are produced. It's a passion kind of thing. It's something that a lot of people get really excited about and put their souls into it. It's not just a script that's a dead script that's we'll do this. It's something that's like we're going to put ourselves into this thing. And you see movies that were put together, anime movies were put together by a bunch of people that just loved it. And it wasn't like a giant production. It was just something that come together and it's like, wow, these guys put a lot of effort into that. And it's like a creative outlet that normally, things you see in anime movies, it also makes gaming industry kind of like want to strive to make like more innovative leaps and jumps in different directions, because you see anime movies that just have things that are just giant things that are happening, huge robots and doing cities and things that are just beyond imagination you can't do in real movies. But the gaming industry can look at that and go, wow, we can do that in the games, even though you can't do that in like Hollywood super budget movies, because that's more money than you can imagine. But we can do that in games. We can do that kind of stuff in games, and that is something that definitely anime would help push the gaming industry in. It's just more of a imagination type thing into the creative element. So.
I can't quite describe the feeling of seeing something that we spent 18, 24 months working on ourselves, and then seeing basically it up on the big screen. And what was truly great about it was the fact that it was someone else's vision of the game as well. It wasn't something that we had a day-to-day involvement with. So to see the characters and ideas and presented in a new way was just really rewarding.
Film was absolutely kick-ass. Absolutely, I was so impressed. Came here thinking, it would be cool to meet the guys and see the anime. But there wasn't 5 minutes that didn't go by that wasn't something being blown up or ripped apart, or might actually steal a few level ideas too.
I thought the movie was outstanding. I was totally, I never had expectations at all, because I've learned, you can't, I went into it totally thinking, I don't know what to expect. I don't want to like look at too much. I don't want to like think about it too much. I just want to go in there with the first time I see it, I want it to be like, just new and fresh. And because we spent, so much of our love and attention to the game and to our story. It was a really good feeling to see that someone else felt the same way.
I thought the film was fantastic. I thought it was really great. I like anime. All the guys at the company do, but we really enjoy it, and it was great plot, really fantastic art and animation. So we were really pleased. A lot of times that can be, people are unsure how movies are going to turn out with tie-ins of things, but it's great. It's top quality anime for a game. I couldn't be happier. It was real great to watch.
I thought the film was great. I was really impressed. It was so cool to see the hardcore troops in there, and seeing them getting slaughtered was a blast, actually. The creatures were just wonderful, amazing, especially at the end. And there's a lot of really cool things about it.
I count myself among the hardcore SiN fans, and I think it really brought things to a new level in many ways. And hopefully we can keep the SiN future alive. I know that this SiN movie, I know, is going to really reignite the fans that are out there. There are really some faithful ones, and so looking forward to see what they do. And we, of course, hopefully there will be a SiN 2. I would be excited if there was a SiN 2. I really enjoyed everything about it in the SiN universe.
Our intent all along when we created the characters and the story of SiN was to create something that was a franchise, something that we could take as far as we wanted to take it. That's one of the reasons that in the game we didn't kill off the main characters. We tried to keep them alive, and that I think is the seed of a really good story.
Well, with how well SiN the movie is probably going to do, we've always been thinking about doing a SiN 2, and there's been a few directions in the movie that ADV took that it's kind of the directions we were going to go in the game. We've always been talking about it, and timing was kind of off initially, and but we're definitely thinking about it. We love the franchise and the kind of the characters we created. We really wanted to create a group of characters that people could relate to and get attached to. Deal out all the archetypes and have everybody in there. And in the next game, which I'm pretty sure we're going to do, and it's in the movie. It's going to help push that even further. So definitely.
I think that's one of the neat things about SiN is that the characters are so well defined. They're all very strong, and they all have their issues. It's not, people think of cartoons as one-dimensional, and anime makes them more well-defined, better, well-rounded. The lead has huge issues with his father because his father was on the side of the law, but he was also working with the mob, so he kind of has a little bit of a conflict about that.
I am playing the character of Blade. I am a cyborg, which if you don't know what a cyborg is a cybernetic organism. I'm half human, half like robot.
I play Caitlin Palmer. She's a badass. She's really tough, no shit, takes no prisoners cop.
I play Tim Perka. Tim is, he loves the ladies. Loves the ladies. But the only thing he loves more than the ladies is hardcore. One
of the key characters is a little girl, and Danielle Kimball plays her. The mutants are going after her. We don't know why, but there's, of course, can't give that away.
My character is Elise. She's this little girl that keeps getting chased by monsters, which is the weirdest thing. And she's a great girl. She has a normal life, and all of a sudden these monsters come chasing her. She loses her parents. She's usually a quiet girl because she hasn't talked in a long time, and the rest is a secret.
I just like getting in the booth and standing there and just absorbing myself into the character of Blade.
Being in a cartoon is an absolute blast. You get to be totally animated. You get to yell, scream, act in ways that you could never really act. It's a blast. I love it. In
playing the character of Blade, I draw on some past experiences. My dad was a Houston police officer for 35 years, so I grew up with this tough attitude that my dad gave me. My grandfather was a prison warden. So I grew up in that kind of heavy atmosphere, of law and order. And I was a United States Marine and also a Navy SEAL instructor, so I have a lot of that kind of brawling kind of side to me. And I really get into this character of Blade because he's a hard-nosed cop. He's in a unit called Hardcore, which is like the elite of the elite as far as law enforcement goes.
Being a cartoon character is one of those things. When you're little, you're always watching the characters, and you always assume that, well, that's Superman's voice, right? You don't really ever think about that cartoon character is a real guy who's doing the voice, and I just love it to death. It's such a blast. I'd do it for free, wouldn't you? I'd do it for free, but don't tell anybody we said that. You cut that part out.
It feels like I'm doing Daffy Duck or somebody. It's just like, okay, I'm a character. I'm a cartoon character. It's fun.
It's awesome. It's like it's nonstop action. You're in there, you've become this character of Blade. I get to pull on all my past experiences in the military and just go nuts.
People who are looking for a nice little cartoon are going to be quite surprised by what they see in SiN.
I think the audience is going to be very broad for a feature film like SiN. All of these animated films, they can appeal to anyone. When I'm watching the scene prior to cutting the voiceover, I see things like you would see in a normal feature film. The scenes play just like in a normal action film. So anyone can get into this. And plus the characters, you can identify with the characters. They're not cartoon figures, they're real people, they just happen to be animated.
If my mom and dad's gonna save the movie format and I'm gonna watch it like 1,000,000 times. Whenever it comes to my part, rewind. My part again, rewind.
A lot of people get the wrong idea about these animated films, that the pacing will be somewhat cartoonish, but movies like SiN is not cartoonish, even though it's an animated film. It starts out in a cemetery with a funeral going on, and the action picks up from there, and it becomes fast and furious, just like an action movie, just like Lethal Weapon or anything like that.
Phoenix Entertainment is a Japanese animation company, and they did the animation.
Phoenix came back with just some crazy, just awesome stories that we could envision, but we wanted something tighter. And that's when ADV comes in, and we really have to decide what does our market want? What market are we reaching for? And we felt that the gaming communities where we really wanted to hit strong. We wanted an American anime with a strong American influence and backgrounds, but with an anime flair that the Japanese, that's what they're best at.
Storyline was developed here, the animation was done there, and now basically the production's wrapping up here in Houston at our studios.
This is the part that's very tedious because ADV's always been known for high quality, super high attention to detail, and seeing as how this is our first really big project, we want to put 110% behind this. I think the best part about this project and what I love about it is the fact that we devoted so much time to story development.
People who probably aren't usually drawn to this genre, although it has a huge underground, it's very mainstream in its feel. The action scenes are very vivid. It's not a kid's show. This is not for the kids. Very tensely plotted, intricate characters. It's fun. Little moments of light comedy in it to give you some breathing room in the pace, but it's pretty much a shotgun ride through hell. I guess is what you could say. It's a rough ride, but it's a fun ride.
Gamers, I think, are going to love this film. I tried so hard to make sure that this was true to the gaming community and true to the real SiN fans. And I guess as with any film or idea that's going to go to film, you're going to have to make your sacrifices, and we changed a few things around. And Ritual was on board with each one of the changes, and so we thought that we could defend any arguments that anybody may bring up. And I'm really proud of the fact that we stuck to our guns and made a very concrete storyline, even before storyboards or anything was thought out. We went through 8 revisions before everyone agreed on something, and then it went well. It went very well.
We're very proud of it. I think it's a nice, mean little piece of action thriller that people are really going to gravitate to. And I'm babbling, and I'm toast. That's it. I'm out of here. Bye.